questions, comments, please?
Everybody agrees? Probably yes.
You were a bit quick. Could you please turn the one slide back so I could read the last sentence, please?
Which one? This?
Yes.
Megkaphatják a vezetőtől, nem csak mondani, de akarja írni.
Joseph said he could put this presentation on the internet.
Internet, or you can get it.
So you can
So
get
you
it
have
if
to
you
write
want
it,
to.
yeah.
Yes, okay.
Thank you very much for that. It was really stimulating and very interesting. I mean, you talked about your cooperation with the Anglo-Saxon British kind of traditions, and I think it's interesting that a lot of the kind of methodologies, you'll know this, I'm just, perhaps for the rest of us, the kinds of work we've done in things like experiential learning, building on experience, even the Freirean kind of notions of dialogue and those kind of methods. We've done a lot on what we call participative accreditation, where people actually design their own accreditation. Yeah? And all these are very much in tune really with the kinds of things you've been saying. I'd just like you to comment on another tradition, at least in the kind of Western European, Northern European tradition, and that is within social movements or labour movement, we've seen the kind of autodidact, the self-taught person, you know, who actually themselves draws on the resources, but actually they do it themselves. But they do it themselves very often in a group.
Mm-hmm.
They relate to a collective of some kind, whether it's the union or whether it's, you know, the church or whatever. And there's this kind of sense of developing, yes, the person, the individual, but in a sense the developments couldn't be that without the collective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is, you know, interesting spin, so to speak, on what you've been saying. But actually is about social movement and education, so to speak. It's about collective education. It's also education for a purpose. And the purpose can go beyond the individual into a belief system, politics or belief in a trade union or whatever. I'd just like you to comment on it. You'll be familiar, I'm sure, with these traditions, and they fit very much in the idea of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but perhaps you could comment on this notion of the group, because, you know, my own personal experience is that we did a lot of work, even with group assessment or peer assessment, where individuals in the group would actually be responsible for the assessment, would be responsible for judgments on somebody else's performance, but in a kind of constructive way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we used to say things like, always say something positive. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
When we ask people to comment on, you know, we're not trying to demolish people, we're trying to build. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this group. So I could go on, obviously, but all this kind of notion of group learning. Yeah? We even had a local accreditation kind of college to actually recognise group accreditation. So we had people rewarded as a group, not as an individual, yeah? Which was interesting. There are also some technical problems with that, to be honest, but I mean,
Sure.
you know, it was the I don't know, the purpose, the feeling, the commitment to this idea of the
Sure.
group as a supportive, but also collective. You know, we saw it politically as well, that people do work in groups to change society. So I mean, this was part of the kind of process. But perhaps you have one or two comments on that?
One sentence comment and slightly longer. One of the most shocking sentences I heard and advices I heard in the United Kingdom, that was, you mustn't say, if you see the work of a result of a student that it's good or bad. You should say it's good or it ought to be improved. This was one of the sentences from which I understood how you think about the learner. And I made a funny experiment in the last semester at the university. We had some new textbooks written by educators of the faculty. And I organized little groups of students, gave them a textbook each, and told them, now your task is to rewrite this textbook, to transform it to some book you would like to learn from. Textbook became much shorter, 30 or 40% of the original. They became much better, and at the end of the semester I invited some of the original authors for a conversation to see how the textbooks have been transformed. So I told this not only because the story must be can be interesting, but also that yes, I could produce and survive how a group can make a job precise just statistically. So I, as a teacher, there is no need for me as a teacher to set everything. There will be somebody who will have a question. There will be somebody who will be surprised and have an idea. My role is just to keep the route to the goal. And this is what I try to transform to a step-by-step technology which can be accepted in our system as well. I hope I managed to do so. So, I'm glad that now we understand each other. You wanted to say something, if
I'm not sure where to start, really. I found it absolutely fascinating what you were saying, so thank you for this morning. I think this, I'm not sure if it's a language or there's a basic problem for me, is that one of your basic assumptions about learning is the activity of the learner. Yes, that's a taken. And nobody else. That's the bit I've got a real problem with, because I feel if my students are failing, I'm the one that can facilitate the transformation. And
Yes.
So therefore their learning is not just about them, it's not just their activity, it's mine. So if they're failing, it's my responsibility, and I have to adjust or demystify what they're learning, or build their confidence, or transform, because people have chaotic lives, and you take on the whole person. You don't take on an aspect of them in order to learn. They're not empty vessels. And I can illustrate this. One of our students, very, very intelligent, very bright, learnt to read in prison, and absolutely determined to learn on the course. Realised this was possibly the best opportunity he'd ever had in terms of joining a group and learning in a course that was very adapted to his situation. he ended up in prison, and we actually believed that he wrongly ended up in prison. And Chrissy and I fought prison authorities, well, we all did, but Chrissy and I ended up visiting him in order to keep facilitating that learning process. So I've got a basic problem with that. Does that explain where I'm coming from? In terms of, yes, I agree with you, learning is the activity of the learner, but it's my job as a teacher to facilitate as much of that process as I possibly can. And if they fail, there's a failure in my system, my model.
I'm sorry if I couldn't use the best words, and I thank you very much if you help me to find the best word to explain that we all, and equipment and everything, belong to the surrounding of the learner. But we cannot make a surgery to change some bits in her or his mind. If I'm the one who delivers the knowledge, I'm responsible to deliver the knowledge in an up-to-date manner, according to the learner's capabilities, style, learning style, learning speed, and so on. This is my responsibility. To understand why he stopped, to understand what material she or he needs. If I'm a tutor, I'm responsible to see the learner's problems even if she or he doesn't see them yet. Because I'm the professional and I see her or him from outside. That's what you were speaking about, as I understand. But it's her or him who learns. If I don't notice a problem, the learner can stop. So it's crucial, it's extremely important what I do. A good tutor, first of all a tutor, can help very, very much and can make huge mistakes. I always say that in our profession we don't do surgery, so there is no blood, nobody dies, but
Hopefully nobody does.
hopefully not. But learners can have problems for all of their life if we make a mistake. Their self-confidence, their belief in their opportunities can be killed by a single sentence. So this is our responsibility. But learning is the learner's activity, as I see. If you could help to find better words, I would help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Congratulations for your presentation. I like very much. It was very clear, and the topics in the PowerPoint, they help very much for me. I don't speak very good English, and with the topics it was more clear to understand. One of your first ideas, it was about motivation, and I think it's very important, this question of motivation. And you say also adults know something when they come to us. Is that happening in my school or with the adults who work with us? In the first year I work in this project in Portugal, we name education for adults. I had a student. They have very problems for writing, for speak, for example, in the first classes with the pencil they put in the mouth like in the for white is 28 or years old the boy, and in the teachers group we say, "Yeah, but he's very they have a very difficulties, it's complicated to work with him, etc. etc." Once we organize a picnic, and the students organize all, but it's these students organize the principal things. They have a very good capacity for organize the picnic, for make fire, and they have a lot of capacities we can find in the class, but it was possible see these capacities, these competencies outside the classes. Is for that we organize several activities outside the classes, because like I showed yesterday in my short video, a majority of these students never went to the cinema. Yesterday in the video have a class in the cinema. It was the first time they went to the cinema. Also in some monuments near the school, never talk about, this monument is near the school. No, I all days I pass in front, but I know nothing about. And it's important in this kind of courses, when we work with adults, speak about what they do, but because they do a lot of things, and and they have a lot of competence, and I try to tell to my colleagues, teachers, first we need to know the most things about students, and I prepare a very long questionnaire online, and they answer the questionnaire online, and after in teachers meetings we analyze the questionnaires and we organize activities about what they prefer, what they know, what they want to do, etc. etc. Another thing interesting, and if you can speak about, the last year I participated in a study visit in Netherlands about the adult system, and some of colleagues say the adult education is different in all countries. For example, teachers training course is adult education. Workshops, non-formal, is adult education. In Portugal, unfortunately, the adults, unfortunately, after I can say why, the adult education, what I do now, is in the formal national system of education. The national system in Portugal is 4 different levels. The first level is primary school, 4 years. After we have 2 years, only in Portugal we have that, is different for all Europe. College more 3 years, and secondary school 3 years also. 12 years the obligatory school. And the adult education in my school is the last 3 levels, and with us they can finish the secondary school. For example, this student I talked about 5 years ago, now this year he go finish the secondary school. He continue always with us. And I think in the different countries, I think it's different. And if you can speak about the system in Hungary, I like it very much. And the adult education can be also in the vocational courses. We have also 2 vocational courses. They have European level for vocational courses, and they finish also the obligatory school. And I think it was important, if it's possible during these days, speak a little bit more about what is the adult education in the different countries. And the other question also interesting about the motivation. You tell more than 50 theories about motivation. I think, like I tell you before, it's important to know what the students want, and after is more easy find motivations. But when an adult come to us, normally have some motivation. If don't have motivation, they don't come because it's not obligatory. Come. If he can, is we have half of the problems, and we need to continue to motivate. Because, for example, with us, one of the problems is until Christmas, someone's don't continue, and we need to continue to try to motivate more the others for don't do the same. Sorry, I speak a lot, and my English sometimes is not.
No, your English is brilliant. Yeah. No. I understood absolutely. I understood.
But a lot of mistakes in the middle.
No. My English, I have a Hanglish, you know. So I didn't realize the mistakes myself. Was not in your speech also. No. So thank you very much. It was really interesting.
Thank you very much for your comments. The main important thing, as I understood, the main important general thing you speak about, it was how to maintain the learner's motivation,
yes.
Because she or he comes with some motivation. How we can go on? I know I'm always speaking too much, as every teacher, you know. But I would be glad if you allowed me to tell a story just in 3 minutes, how I used a trick for that in a course some years ago. The course was only on internet. It was about quality management. And it was not my subject. To tell the truth, I don't know anything about quality management. Quality management in distance learning, that was the subject. But my boss said, "Oh, Peter, you are dealing with methodology, you should be the tutor." I don't know what it means, but you probably know that I do. It was interesting. I got the names and professions and some data on the students. I wrote a mail to each, not the same one, but person by person. Dear, I don't know, let's say I told the name now. Dear, I'm P Gero, I will be your tutor. You know, tutor means helping in the learning process. To tell the truth, I don't know anything about the subject, but it's not my task. There are very good professionals in the background. I'm dealing with the learning process itself. Now I can read on your sheet that you are a PhD student, you are a welder, you are unemployed, you are a university student. I'm very curious why you joined this course, why you want to attend it. And they all wrote their goals. And from that point, it was absolutely enough. When I saw them stopping, I wrote, "Oh, I'm very sorry that I couldn't get your answer for 2 weeks. However, your last answer was very good, and you see how close you are already to your goal." And I could write his goal. The course was only 2 months long, not too much, 8 weeks. 8 weeks only. And at it was an international course in several languages. I was the tutor of those who learned in Hungarian. So there were some students from Hungary and from Transylvania. And at the end, we organized a group meeting. Everybody, each student came and told their impressions. And it was already uncomfortable for me. Each of them told that there was at least 1 minute during the 8 weeks when she or he was thinking on quitting. And it were my letters who get them back. However, I told them that I don't know what they are learning. I wrote them only, thank you for your next solution and answer for the task. I will give it to the professionals. And these were our correspondence, nothing else, just returning again and again and again to their personal goals. This wasn't a group, they didn't know one another, but this was enough. That's what I've done as a small part of their circumstances.
Yeah, great.
Thank you for your gesture.
More questions or comments?
The help, well, you find a small description on a special paper. It's very special. It has 2 sides. Have you ever seen such a paper? And I have some. I ask you for some advice. I think it very seriously. Educational system in Hungary seems to go in the very opposite direction now. Everything should be similar. So, I think it's extremely urgent for our research group to find international contacts now, not corresponding for a year and waiting for a, I don't know, a new Grundtvig project for other 2 years. Now. Please forgive me that I'm so pushy now. But you know, Hungary is a bit Mediterranean country, so I can allow that.